First of all, let me just introduce, I think you know Wenli, Rekha. This is Professor Paul Kim, and he is former CTO at Stanford University and Associate Dean at the College of Education. Now he's retired from 25 years there. I will give you a more detailed bio tomorrow when he presents his keynote. But now he is traveling around the world and working on some of the projects that he started at Stanford. So we are very happy to have him as part of the panel today. So let's begin. At same procedure. If you would like to, take the mic, you're free to perhaps take the mic and ask questions. So maybe what should we start with? Should we start with generative AI? Okay, so one of the questions that came up that you didn't get the chance to answer, and I think Rekha and Paul can also give some insight on this. What do we make of generative AI now in higher education? From your perspective, from the perspective of Hope Punk, from the perspective of widening our aspirations for higher education, what are your perspectives? Please feel free to take the mic. Thanks.
Okay. For me, I think in the past few years, I would say generative AI is so-called very disturbing technology for higher education around the world. But in the past few years, I think there was some kind of convergence of the viewpoint towards the generative AI in education. So first, embracing, but also be conscious how to maximize its benefit while avoiding some kind of pitfalls or some kind of limitations. And also, I think what bothers us now, I feel things it is still not very clear to many of the researchers and the thinkers here. What do we need to teach? For example, certain things, do we still need to learn or not? Generative AI can perform certain tasks much better than our freshman year one. Then what shall we do? Do we still continue to teach it or not? And also, certain skills, we all talk about IA, certain skills, maybe in the future, humans don't need it anymore. Think about drivers. Those experienced drivers, without GPS, we can do it because we have the capability of doing it. We have a Singapore map in our mind. We are able to navigate. We know where is the east, the south. Now, with GPS, many of us lost that skills. But it is fine. Are we still be capable as a human being in driving? So in the future, do I still need to have the skills or just outsource? So what is the optimized level of cognitive outsourcing, cognitive offloading? Offloading is not a bad thing. Offloading certain things is good, right? But what is the level and what need to teach? What are the skills that can be unlearned? I think that still very bother us a lot. I believe we may need to think about this kind of issues deeper.
Yes, exactly. Maybe just one follow-up question from the previous session. I noticed there was one question about, so we know that generative AI changes how we teach and what we teach. How about, does it change why we teach?
No, why we teach. I think it's changed what we teach, but why we teach. What is our value-add part about us? We nurture our students. We share with our wisdom different from intelligence, okay? And we build up a social relationship. We are sparking their curiosity. We make them happy, sometimes very frustrated as well, right? But that is the life. I think that is the richness of the life. And why is a residential university? Why we get students to come rather than let them just interact with AI? Because our valued part is very clear and is clearer and clearer than previously. We need to nurture their high order thinking, 21st century skills, make them to help them live a better life in the future. So why we teach never change, I would say.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Just very shortly, adding another perspective, perhaps. So I've been working with generative AI, especially within the arts and humanities and within kind of creative cultural practices. And so there we've really been thinking about AI as a playfellow So finding this new vocabulary. So it can be a tool, but it can also be many other things, I would say. So again, how we end up framing it in higher education, how we end up our students seeing it, how we end up approaching it really depends on the words we use, I would say. So is it a study buddy? Is it a co-teacher? Is it a playfellow? Is it a tool? Is it a hybrid being, a hybrid intelligence? Is it a companion? Is it a multi-species creature? So really just starting to think about what this is. And a good example is things we think is funny now suddenly stops being funny. So Gunkel, who works with like robot rights, is thinking about when does a robot reach something that requires it to have like animal rights? When does it end not being okay kicking a robot? So it can seem very stupid now, but the lines are getting thinner. Like there was one point where the act of human intelligence was to beat a computer at chess, and then it became Go, and now it's an art exhibition, but we also lost that one. So what is it really that is the difference? It becomes harder and harder to set up, or more and more stupid to set up these things. So perhaps thinking about the more than human again, how do we live with AI like we live with the darn mosquitoes would be one question perhaps. And then more practically in my teaching, we also think, what is it our students can do creatively, playfully, that they couldn't do before, or that not all students could do before. So I can ask them to write poems to the beauty of archaeology. Someone would be able to do that before, but in Denmark, most would not. They would leave. I can ask them to visualize things that they weren't able to visualize before, which they couldn't before. So playing around with it, figuring out how it works for them, or how it makes them become, and what they want, how they want to see it, without like humanizing it, because it's not a human, but it is perhaps some sort of creature in the making. I don't really know. I don't think we really know, actually.
I would like to jazz it up a little bit. I would say BG and AG. Have you heard that term? BG, before Gen AI, after Gen AI. So there's education. There used to be a thing called education, and there used to be things called teaching. That's a BG. AG, it's no more teaching. Teaching is dead, in my view. After 25 years at Stanford, this is my conclusion. Coaching is AG, coaching. So you asked the important question, why do we teach? No, don't teach. The more you teach, they're going to learn less. The more you set the boundaries of learning, they're going to learn less. The more forms you put into the education structure, they're going to learn less. So I believe that the coaching is the key. And then I retired from Stanford after 25 years, but I still coach a lot of students at Stanford, Harvard, MIT, and they come to me, how do I start this company in ed tech? I give them advice, I connect them. Sometimes I recruit high school students to, in fact, today, this afternoon, there's a hands-on workshop. You will, if you are joining the workshop, you will see high school students teaching you. They have been trained to train professors at multiple universities. So I've been taking these high school students to shock the professors. If high school students can do it, what's wrong with you, right? And also I train fifth graders to teach high school students. And I'll talk about all these things tomorrow in my keynote speech. But I think a few things I want you to remember. BG, AG, all right? Teaching is dead, coaching is AG. And then in terms of what do we really want to help students with? How do we empower them to be themselves? I come up with 6 C's, 6 competencies. We all know 4 C's so well. I added 2 more C's, compassion and commitment. All the courses that I have taught at Stanford, they all had a cause. They always had a reason to learn. For example, I asked them to design a learning solution for Syrian refugees in Lebanon. I asked them to design learning solutions for the youth, the incarcerated youth in the Philippines. Incarcerated youth in the Philippines, things like that. And also learning solutions for indigenous community children in Mexico, rural mountains and villages and things like that. And I have taken students all over the world to make impact. So back to the question, why do we teach, or why do they learn? To make impact, to make this world a better place for all. AI is a tool to help our students make that impact around the world, make this place better for all. And that is the reason. And this is the journey of learning. There's no diploma, paperwork, piece of paper at the end of the graduation. Doesn't really matter. Have you made an impact? Have you made this world a better place for all or not matters? And so universities must change, as our speakers have said, but university students don't become critical thinkers overnight. It starts from home, where they're taken care of by their guardians and parents, and learn to think critically, learn to communicate, learn to collaborate, but for a reason, to join this journey of making this place better for all. It starts from day one, not at a university level. So it doesn't matter whether you're a high school student or a university student. It doesn't really matter. Age doesn't matter. I don't think the boundaries of spaces, all these things don't matter. They are all BG. Now we have to think AG. Do you agree? Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was so inspiring. Actually, I think you might have answered one of these questions. Let me just read it, okay? Linking to Prof. Rekha's idea of playfulness and Prof. Chen Wenli's concept of AI to IA, do you think we should rethink the traditional education journey? With AI augmenting human intelligence and accelerating learning, is it still necessary to spend 6 years in primary school, 4 to 5 years in secondary, 2 to 3 years in JC or Polytechnic, and 4 or more in university? Or could this entire timeline be streamlined or reimagined as we evolve as a species?
No, I think you already know the answer, right? Because I have connected graduate students with college students, and college students with high school students and elementary school students. And I have trained fifth graders to train high school students. And I have taken students to all over the places to make an impact. And some of the kids who follow with me are the sons and daughters of the other colleagues who are the professors at Stanford and MIT. Interestingly, these professors don't send their kids to schools. Why is that? Isn't that ironic? They don't send their kids to school. They think that they have a better place in the world, in the real world, where the real problems exist. And when kids are engaged, they're exposed to the real problems, they learn. And for example, I have students who are training English. The village kids in Kenya, for example, every Saturday, this high school student get on the Zoom call and then teach these village kids in Kenya English. For example, they learn about the pain and sufferings and needs of the kids in the other side of the world. To me, that's learning. They learn about the history, politics, geography, everything. So these boundaries and frames that define what is university, what is high school, what is a physics, what is a biology, all these things don't really matter. The way that I like to engage learners of all ages from around the world is pretty simple. I want them to have fun. I want them to feel the playfulness like I do. I don't think that I'm working. I'm not playing. I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I'm having fun. And I like all the learners to have the same fun while they're growing up, while they're making a difference, one step at a time. And these days, one prompt at a time.
Thank you so much. Yes, we can.
So I think you're actually a teacher.
I am a teacher?
Yeah, I think that's...
I hate to be called a teacher, but
I
like to be
know.
called a coach.
Or the educator. other pedagogy.
Educators, I'll take it.
So again, I think there's a big difference between learning and educating. Let's call it that then, if you don't like teaching. Because you have a purpose with what you're doing with your students of all layers. And that to me is education and not necessarily learning. Like, it's also learning, but learning takes place all sorts of places, like in the kitchen lot, on the playground, at the football field. But what you're talking about here is deep education, I would say. And it's education with virtues and values and a bigger purpose and a cause. And that would not be happening if you were not there, I would say. And so you're more than a coach, you're also a guide and a teacher on the side. And sometimes you're walking ahead and behind on the side, but they need you for what you see happening, I think. So for me, that's education and
Right.
being a teacher, not a lecturer, but a teacher.
So the word teacher and education has some sort of a purpose, not based on the kids' needs. But when you know what kids need, I like to coach them. In order to be a coach, I have to know everything about their child, whether the child is good at something, whether the child is interested in something, the strengths and weaknesses. The coach knows everything. That way I can personalize, individualize the whole learning journey. If I'm an educator, I'm a teacher, I will have to finish my unit, the subject, and I have to start at 9:10 and finish by 10:15, whatever. I have to go through these rules. But when I'm coach, these things don't really matter. I like to empower the child so that the child can be him or herself and be the best he or she can be for this world. And I see that. So for example, when a student comes to me and say, hey, my mom says that I need to study more biology and science, but I like music. What do? I say, well, why don't you combine science and music? For example, why don't you, this is a real story. I told that student.
That sounds like a teacher.
I gave him some ways to realize the dream and achieve all the goals, and so that it's a win-win-win. Right? So I told the child, why don't you make music from chemical reactions? And then the kid said, what? What is that? I've never heard of it. Well, try it. And then I sent some YouTube videos on Arduino and all those things. And the kid started to make a toy that makes a music from chemical reactions. And then he presented to me. And I said, well, that's a great job. And then the kid said, what should I do next? I said, now it's time to share what you have learned with friends. And then I have a place for you to go. And there is a Afghanistan refugee camp in Silicon Valley. So I told him to go there and share what you have learned with these refugee children. So he shared with the refugee children. The children loved it, making music from chemical reactions. It was an awesome experience for all of them. And then the refugee kids now are empowered. They learn more about the coding, Arduino, chemical reactions, and all those things. And the kid feels like he's now a global citizen. And he applied to Stanford, MIT, Harvard.
Still sounds like teaching, very purposeful teaching.
And I told them that Stanford University has a music center where you invent things that no one cares. And then they do make music from all kinds of weird things. They don't know where to use the solutions and so forth. But like you said, you may use that solution in one day. And that's why they do things. That's what universities do. And I'm just a coach in their learning journey.
Thank you. Actually, just now during break, there were a few students that came up to me where are the students? So where's the student? Are you still around? Are you guys? Okay, great. And I wonder if you have any reactions to what's been said so far, because what I'm hearing from you is that Singapore has a definite culture, right, that you grow up with, and perhaps what, is this even possible? Like, how do we make these changes? Am I correct to say that? Would you like to add on to what I said? Maybe the mic is right there. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Right, hi, yeah. I'm Dominic, year 4 EEE student. So Yeah, I think especially for Associate Prof Rigor, Singapore's, and I think the Asian culture is very, I think as what you mentioned earlier also, is very focused on grades, and students, university students are very focused on grades, which leads to job security. Job security is a huge concern nowadays. Students are even unable to find good jobs, unable to get good salary, and what the interviewers and HR people are looking at are their grades, their resume, the skills that they have learned in university and all that. So how then do we balance between, like what you mentioned, play, and at the same time, their grades, their learning, which are all these are reflected on the resume and on their transcript, but things like play and all these, they may not necessarily translate and be recorded down in their transcript or in their resume.
Thank you. I also had a couple of questions around that after my keynote, and I think one important thing is to, of course, not leave students to their own devices and do them a disservice. So it should work before we do it. I don't think I can change the whole society or system. I think we should, but again, being a little bit more practical, I think thinking about playfulness as a process and not necessarily the end product, as an attitude towards why you learn and how it feels to learn is very helpful, especially surviving in such a system, I would say, because otherwise I think it can be very hard to do education if the grades and the pressure is there from the beginning to the end, and then you have a job and that's also a pressure, and then you, I don't know, kill yourself, metaphorically, not literally. So I think playfulness is something we should do for ourselves and each other, to not die on the inside. And to get a good job, also in Denmark, you need to bring something to the table beyond grades, and having that playful spirit, that open mind that you're also talking about, finding solutions in unexpected places, being there for each other. In my experience, and that's of course just the Nordic countries, that actually often means more in the long run than the grades, even though we don't think so. So if that's not the case here, just come to Denmark.
Thank you for the question. First, I don't think they are contradictory, grade and the joy of learning. So if we are able to design something interesting learning experience, learning can be very joyful, and at the end get a good grade, okay? But having said this, I do believe in the future, this kind of focusing on grade, a sit-down exam, it will be less and less. This kind of the after AG era, right? AG. I think those kind of, what are we assessing? How are we assessing students' capability, intelligence will change. Actually, the change is happening now, and it is still evolving. For example, there was a lot of courses. We cancel the sit-down exam, but it's based on what students can produce at the end as a learning artifact. And there are some courses, even no need to assess their learning artifact generated by the students, but just based on their portfolio of their learning experiences, what they have gone through, what they have done, what are the books they have read, what kind of a generative AI they are using, based on your learning experiences. And we are able to, give you a grade just based on that. So I don't think the issue is a grade itself. It is a design of the learning task and the design of the assessment. So it is not totally contradictory, I would say. Yeah. Another perspective, I want to also answer Sophia's previous question. Do we still need 4 years to be here? Do we still need to take 6 years to be in primary school? It is related to what we believe, what is learning. From learning science perspective, there are 3 types of learning metaphors. Learning as acquisition of knowledge, learning as participation, and the learning as knowledge creation. if we believe learning is only for knowledge acquisition, if our answer is this, perhaps we really don't need to have 4 years of university. Perhaps we do not need to go to university at all. Yeah, because we're able to acquire knowledge from generative AI very easily. But if we believe learning is beyond that, learning is about participation of cultural practices, participation of the learning community, and beyond our community, like go to other countries, and those are people who are different from us, learning under participation, and also learning as knowledge creation. We do need to have some kind of a learning community, and this community is not just a virtue. We get together, we enjoy together, we go through the frustration and the challenges together. At the end, we found a certain solution together to make it work better. So if we believe learning is beyond acquisition, we still need to attend to some kind of a learning community, but I'm not sure whether this community has to be in a university classroom format or not.
Yeah, I think you want to know what you want to be called. Do you want to be called a student or lifelong learner? If you're a lifelong learner, and if you want to retire early, don't follow money. This is a piece of advisement for you. Let money follow you. Money will follow you if you're good at something that only you can do. In this day and age, you don't want to be N+1, just another one looking for a job. What you need to be is the one who creates a job. And this time, this age, that's what you need to be. Create your own job. Don't let the university dictate you how the journey should be. You dictate your own journey and create your own job and let the money follow you. I promise you, you need to be brave. You need to be brave. Those people who are outcasters, who are outliers, they are brave people who have not taken the typical route, N+1. So just remember, don't follow the money. You create your own job.
I think really you should be a student first, no. Because you're studying something, you're always learning, I would say. You're learning everywhere. You're learning from the day you're born to the day you die. But you have these couple of years to study something and then bring it with, to be, in Denmark we have this concept called Dannelse, or in German Bildung, building character. And building character is something we cannot really do on our own, so that is what we need education for. And primary education is building one kind of character, at least in Denmark. The high school is building a broader and deeper kind of character, and then the university or higher education is building the you in the we, taking part in a discipline, adding to an area of society with others. I think the community part, I think it's very lonely to be a learner. That's for me at least. But I really like to be a student that study with others and then form a sort of collective and then have a purpose or a cause and go and change the world together, not on my own. I'm not built for that.
Thank you. Anyone would like to pick up the mic, please do so. I do have a question, I guess follow up to Paul's question, what Paul said about you create your own job. That's awesome. Now, I'm one of those people that actually I'm here because I don't know how to create my own job.
I'll be happy to serve as your coach.
Awesome.
I know, I think I can help you with that.
Thank you. Thank you. Any advice, principles for all of us to learn?
For principle?
Yeah, any advice for us, for those of us who are thinking of creating our own job?
Yeah.
So that money can follow.
I built the AI coach. In fact, I built the AI coach. I'll talk about it tomorrow. But because I get the same question a lot. And what I ask them is, what do you really enjoy the most? And when you don't get bored, that means you can continuously do it over and over, and then you still have fun, and you will enjoy, and you never get bored, and you're actually good at it. So you must have those things. It's just that the school, 12 years of the school, really refrained you from asking creative questions. They did not really let you wonder the world. They just let you just focus on the subjects, the exams, college entrance exam for 12 years, and then you're brainwashed. I have to go to college. I have to go to good college. And I have to get good scores and so forth. And I have to go to a big company and make good money, and that will lead me to happiness. That is totally wrong. I've seen so many times, even people who get PhD from Stanford still not sure what they want to do. I've seen it. And so I think the most important thing is to find what your true interest and desire and passion is. What makes your heart pump fast? What makes you feel like, wow, I'm excited. There's got to be something that you get excited. That's where you start and find what you're really, truly interested in. And so if you start from there, you will know, oh, maybe I need to learn something. I need to study something and so forth. The rest of the journey will be kind of formed based on your interest and desire and passion. And those are the most important things you want to find out first.
Yes, I agree. And I remember when I became a grad student, it was very hard to figure out what my passions were. Because after so many years of dismissing my own desires to do things.
Did you have a helicopter parents?
No, I had to go through Singapore education system. So I guess maybe Wenli, what's your perspective on this? You talked about using learning activities and tasks in class, right, that are stimulating and interesting. How do you feel about actually completely dismantling the structures of K-12 and exams so that we can promote some of this that we're talking about here?
Exam can be redesigned, or maybe no need to exist in the future. This is my vision. School, agree. Learning is a socially construction processes. Learning individually, and it's not just about cognitive learning. It is about the social emotional learning. It is about the joy of the learning, become a happy person, well-being, having a happier life. If there are some students that really find a passion, take the risk, and the society have this kind of mechanism, it's a good thing. But I also see a lot of our students, they don't know their passion, but nothing wrong. I also feel so. If you ask me, yeah, I think I'm passionate about certain things, but you are talking about the meaning of my life, go very deep. I also don't know how to answer you, right? So I don't know. If you ask me, when I was 20 years old, if you ask me what you are really passionate about, I don't have the answer. But I just walk through my journey till now. I still feel my life is okay, not that good, not that bad, yeah. So I switched my career. I was a journalist. So I was before doing my PhD. So I do think my passion, what I'm passionate about, changes every few years in my early part of my life. Yeah. So I feel if we talk about AI should provide a lot of opportunity for the students so that they can go through different pathway, but at the end they all live happy life. In the processes, don't have to be too frustrated for them. I think that's the value of education. Make them learn something, be happy, they go through the journey, they become a better person in the future. So for the schooling, I feel schooling, it is important. It's not just for acquisition of knowledge, okay? It is about community.
You sound like you're talking to your child. You have a child?
I do.
I think we can have schools without exams. I think those two things has nothing to do with each other. We might want to have exams. I don't know if we need them. I don't know why we should need them. and what we need them for. We can have other things like portfolios. They will 80-90% of my students do product theses, or company theses. So they go and do a product, a design product, a poem, a book, an exhibition, something else, and then they get a grade. But the old one, the May Art in Denmark, was like that, without a grade. And they got jobs. They get easier jobs than the one that only do 100 pages of text and have a good grade, because they've been passionately building something. So I think we can change all sort of things. I don't think we need to burn the university or burn the school to do that, but we need to say what makes sense now, what makes sense for us, what kind of education will we have. I needed education. I'm very happy with my life. I just don't know what I'm doing. I'm like someone.
You're happy though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
we're
I'm
happy.
super happy. I'm super excited. Like there's a Danish word called jubelidiot, which is an optimist idiot. I'm very enthusiastic about everything. Everything is super exciting. Like my children says, "Mom, you will never be more than 6 years old," and I agree. But I'm super excited for everything, and that actually is the point of me being here, having somewhat succeeded, because a professor told me when I was a student and having aspirations to do something. I didn't know what at all, but like the university was nice. I liked the university. I wanted to stay there. So how could I stay there? I could get a PhD. Okay, how could I stay there more? I could be assistant professor. Now I'm here. So you don't need to be passionate about something specific. You don't need to specialize, but you need to be passionate. You need to be alive. You need to have that drive and zest, and you can be curious about everything. So there's this wonderful concept called a Renaissance researcher, which is a little bit like Leonardo da Vinci. And I think we need more of those people, building a chopper, writing a poem, doing some art, doing some biology, just being super passionate and excited. I don't know, he could also be like really sad on the inside because we don't know, but doing all sorts of things, not necessarily specializing. We need the specialists and the generalists working together. We need the learners and the students working together. We need the coaches and the teachers working together. And we need to have a university that has space for both those that are passionate about something in the world and that just wants to study the concept of courage for 4 years.
If you don't know your passion, you just haven't found it yet. You do have it. You have an amazing gift that you haven't discovered. So please invest some time to discover your passion and your gift. I promise you, you have an amazing gift you have not explored yet. Everyone is a genius on something. Everyone here, you are so gifted, and you are created with this amazing work that you can do to make this world a better place for all. So I hope that you find it. If you cannot find it, come see me. I'll have some session with you. I'll help you find it. I'll help you find it. And remember this, many of jobs you see today will not be there. I promise, many jobs you see as jobs today will not be there. And when you get to the real world, you're competing against AI natives who are born and raised with AI versus you who went through the 12 years of suffering and lied that you don't have a passion. You have to be a student. You have to be on time, 9 o'clock, show up and study this, memorize this, take the exam. None of these things really matter when you are at that point of competing with AI natives. So change your mindset. You do have an amazing gift. God gave you that gift. Do not waste it.
Wow, okay. I feel happier now. I don't know. I'm optimistic. I'm almost at the end of my career, I feel, but I feel like I am finally going to discover my passion. I'm just kidding. Actually, I'm doing what I love right now, okay? So But it does take a while, and it's okay to. And I feel like what Rekha said about I'll be right with you. I think what Rekha said about playful attitude. You know, if we have that playful attitude, hey, what if this? What if that? That could be a path forward to discover our own passions, right? And gifts. Now we have a question over there. Perhaps.
Sorry to. I will apologize before asking a series of questions and maybe creating some controversial questions at the end. But whatever statements I'm going to make next, I'm sorry to make it a little longer, but I'm not presenting any evidences, but I hope that everybody would be agreeing to my statement. So my first statement would be, when we moved from paperworks to computers or technologies or phones to do most of our works, we certainly faced some of the psychological disorders. The world is still facing some psychological disturbances happening in kids more than the adults because they don't know how to, have a check on it. Are we anticipating any such kind of psychological discomforts going to happen by overuse of AI? And if we can anticipate that, how are we planning to prevent those to happen? Second thing is, if we are so feared that AI is going to take away most of our jobs, why are we into a race and in such a hurry to create more AIs generated tools which will take our jobs? And thirdly, if we don't want our jobs to be taken away, is this necessary for all of us to keep researching AI rather than learning what world is giving us as AI tools? So is there a need to research more or to learn whatever we are getting? Thank you.
Thank you for those wonderful questions. I might have missed your name and where you're from.
Oh, sorry. So I'm Dr. Dimpi Gupta. I'm from LKC Medicine. I'm an anatomist and trying to be a researcher more
Right,
as a job requirement.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can I answer to something I know absolutely nothing about? Well, no, fun aside. I think we have in Denmark what is called skærmdebatten, which is the screen debate. Are screens toxic or not toxic? Are they harmful or not? And it's very loud and fronted. I think what I've learned listening in, I think that's like, I'm originally a media research media scholar. Listening in is, I think it's both for different kinds of people. So I think AI can definitely probably bring, and my PC is in computer games, so that's also a field, right, for these kind of things. So computer games, smartphones, AI, they can bring more discomfort, but they can also bring more comfort. They can bring more loneliness, but they can also bring more community. So just as an example, and I researched the Corona education during the Corona where were at home. Some students did better out of school than in school. They suddenly blossomed and shined because they had the screen as a shield, and they felt more safe, so they could perform better. They could build friendship better than when they were forced to be in a classroom. And vice versa, some of those that did very well in the classroom suddenly did way worse because they didn't have the community and the embodied learning environment. So I think rather than saying either or, seeing that some people with anxiety or depression or other challenges might be able to study from home if they were allowed to through a screen. And then they might not have skoleværing in Denmark, where you don't go to school for 4 years, like we have an issue with in Denmark at the moment. So I think these kinds of things, I think, yes, definitely AI will take out jobs, but we've never run out of jobs. There will be new types of jobs. So there will just be other types of jobs. The horses took our jobs. The cars took our jobs. The robots take our jobs. The old people don't take our jobs, apparently in Denmark the Chinese stopped taking our jobs. So hey, And we actually have too many jobs in Denmark. So again, come to Denmark, you know, if you can.
So we are talking about a psychological kind of, sometimes I feel a bit stressful. Yes, it's very natural. I can tell you I'm experiencing this kind of a stress every day, partially because I'm co-chairing NIE's AI in Education Committee. So which means AI in education was not my original research area. I was in computer-supported collaborative learning and analytics. Till now, I won't claim myself as an expert in this area, partially because I was so stressful. Because we need to figure out what is happening and what happened, what's the implication to us, how to do it. I think many of us are experiencing this kind of a stress, and there was a lot of uncertain things. So, but it is a part of the life, and we cannot avoid this kind of uncertainty. So I think it is very common, but for our students, so I think we also talk about what if some of us, we are not able to keep abreast with this, right? Actually, what do we mean by inclusive society? What is inclusive pedagogy? Even though we talk about a lot of AI pedagogy, but we also need to find a way to accommodate different learners, profile of the learners. If certain people are not comfortable with certain things, we cannot leave them left behind. We need to find a way, either help them keep abreast or maybe create some of the space they feel safe, don't fear of this kind of things. We need to create such an environment to be more conducive for every people's learning. I feel this is something we need to, not just after another wave of technology, but to think about those people who maybe get more disadvantaged because of this kind of a new tech. In terms of research, actually, there's another source of stress I'm having. Technology develops too fast. Social science research, in terms of AI we are lagging behind our technology advancement. But it doesn't mean we're not doing anything. We are trying our best every day, reading papers, trying to understand what is going on, talking to industry players. So I really hope, there was one day I do not need to be the co-chair for AI in Education Committee. So it doesn't mean I don't want to improve myself. I don't want to augment my intelligence. I want to have a break, okay? So, but actually the researchers, research community is trying to figure out, we are not satisfied with what we are having now, but we are trying our best to trying to see when tech develop too fast. Now we don't have the power to say, you don't do it, you slow down. Really, sometimes I really feel they should slow down a little bit. I think the social science, human side, we are working on it. I think don't be afraid of this. I think one of the strategies to cope with my stress, I'm not afraid of it. Understand more, talking more, think more. I'm fine with it. This is my response to this.
Comes to philosophy, it's slower.
There's a bad news. It's going to get worse. It's going to get faster. The development of technology is going to be, these days, 1 week there's a new AI model, and the next week there's a new version of it, and so forth. It's going to be days. It's going to be hours and minutes. It's just a natural phenomenon. There's no way out of it. That's how things will develop in the future. I'm not stressed at all. I'm not anxious at all. I'm very excited, actually, to see the rapid development, because I can always think about, what should I create next? What should I do next? What sort of problems do I get to solve with these amazing tools and resources available to me? And in fact, I coined this term, meta AI competency. Meta AI competency is a term that I coined. Basically, if you know the strengths and weaknesses of all different AI solutions, all the Gen AI tools, you get to let them compete for you. You don't compete with AI. I let the AIs compete for me so that I get the best result as quickly as possible. I develop a lot of things with AI tools. Oftentimes I ask ChatGPT because it hallucinates. because it's good at creating things, creative ideas. And I start with the ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm thinking of developing this. What do you think? And the ChatGPT say, that's a great idea. Here's ways to do this. And then I ask Claude AI, hey, ChatGPT said that you can do this and that. Is this the best you can do? And then Claude say, I think I can do better. And then it comes up with the better ideas. And I ask Perplexity, Gemini, on. And then I let them compete so that I can get what I want. So what is this competency called? It's a meta AI competency. In order to enjoy your ride with the meta AI competency, you have to have self-regulation. During the pandemic, a lot of people were anxious and confused and stressed and depressed and so forth. Those who have the self-regulatory skills thrived. They suddenly had extra time to work and study from home and anywhere they want to be and go. They had a lot of fun time to do things that they want to do in their own way. So those people who do not have self-regulatory skills suffered. Those who have self-regulatory skills thrived. Same thing with AI. Another term that I like to coin is hyper self-regulatory skills. Hyper self-regulatory skills, which means you drive AI, not AI driving you. Okay, so that's the skill set. I'll talk more about it tomorrow. But anyway, don't get stressed. Be happy. I'll be happy to be your coach.
Well, thank you so much. I perhaps just one last comment, thought, or takeaway that you have of our audience. Some of us may not be back tomorrow, am I right? Now, you're going to see Paul and Rekha here tomorrow as part of tomorrow's panel, but we're going to have, news. I will update you on that later. So more questions for them tomorrow. But for now, perhaps just one final thought, comment, advice, or takeaway that you might have for our audience today before we break for lunch.
I would say be yourself. You have an amazing talent you haven't discovered.
Thank you.
Takeaway message. 不愤不启不悱不发. You understand what I'm talking about? Guiding design principles for human AI collaboration.
Thank you.
Remember, school means free time, and it's actually free time for society. It's time for yourself. So study and become and keep on becoming. Be someone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Let's give them a round of applause.